1 year ago, I decided I was going to attempt to read one book a week, or 52 books in a year. Oh, and did I mention this is basically my first year ever reading? Ever. Seriously, I failed literature because I didn't read the books. So here's how that went. Nonfiction was the theme of the year. Philosophy, anthropology, business, science, arts, self-improvement, and even a book on drugs. Each of these related to aspects of the world I wanted to know more about. There was only one problem. They were making me dumb. Now, what do I mean exactly when I said these books were making me dumb? In Stumbling on Happiness, author Daniel Gilbert, when speaking on self-evaluation, said, "Most of us appear to believe that we are more athletic, intelligent, organized, ethical, logical, interesting, open-minded, and healthy, not to mention more attractive than the average person." So, what Daniel Gilbert was talking about in Stumbling on Happiness was the human brain and its tendencies to over-evaluate the capabilities that it truly possesses. This is considered a cognitive bias, and that really piqued my interest. Diving in deep, I started learning more about the Dunning-Kruger Effect and other cognitive biases that were exemplified in this and some of the other books I read throughout the year. You see, in 1995, a MacArthur Wheeler walked into two Pittsburgh banks with the intent to rob them, without a mask or anything hiding his identity, or so we thought. Wheeler had actually gone through the trouble of covering his face with lemon juice prior to the robberies, thinking this would make him invisible to the cameras present in the banks. When Wheeler was captured after the police identified him through reviewing footage on said cameras, Wheeler was stunned. What Wheeler demonstrated here was a cognitive bias. The two psychologists, David Dunning and Justin Kruger, further studied cognitive biases like Wheeler's and found that all of us humans suffer from something called the illusory superiority. They described it as, illusory superiority is a condition of cognitive bias wherein a person overestimates their own abilities and qualities in relation to the same qualities or abilities of other people. Sound familiar? As you can see with this crudely drawn graph, those that know very little about a subject tended to overestimate abilities in said subject. People who scored in the lowest percentiles on tests of grammar, humor, and logic also tended to dramatically overestimate how well they had performed. Their actual test scores placed them in the 12th percentile, but they estimated that their performance placed them in the 62nd percentile. But as you learn more about the topic, the breadth of information you don't know becomes painfully apparent. That puts us, and me specifically, on the downward slope to the valley. Eventually, if you truly become an expert on a given topic, your confidence may increase, but sometimes not even to the levels of which when you are ignorant. In Lifespan by David Sinclair, he points to a survey done by the global polling company YouGov, in which they asked, all things considered, do you think the world is getting better or worse, or neither getting better nor worse? In the United States, only 6% of people were similarly confident that things were getting better in our world. And out of the poll participants, I would have probably been in the 94% that said the world was not getting better. Similarly, in Factfulness, Hans Rosling pointed to the same studies, very similarly trying to show that the world was actually getting better. A little bit more succinctly, I might add, than David Sinclair in Lifespan. He said, "The image of a dangerous world has never been broadcast more effectively than it is now, while the world has never been less violent or more safe." In Factfulness, Hans Rosling basically put this entire book together on statistics about why the world is actually getting better. Definitely a recommended read from me. Every book I read, I end up becoming a sliver more informed about the subjects I'm reading about, but with each new nugget of information, I'm starting to realize everything that I don't know about those topics. So with this, you could say I'm becoming more informed or even slightly more intelligent with this reading, but over the course of this past year, it certainly feels like I'm becoming more dumb. And you know what? I think I'm pretty happy about this. I often find myself daydreaming about building collections of books, the 1,000 philosophy books that I want to curate and have my own personal library, collecting different religious texts, collecting different information on science, genetic engineering, and lifespan, and what have you. And I kind of recognize that I'm never gonna know all of it, but it's all about the journey to me. There's something interesting about not having it all figured out. Even if I read 50 or 100 books a year, there's no way any of us can keep pace with the 50,000 that are published annually. While reading 50 works of nonfiction over the past year has certainly made me feel less intelligent, I will say, on a positive feeling, it's made me feel more grounded and humble. Would I say this reading challenge has changed my life so far? I suppose in a way I would. While I don't feel more intelligent, I definitely feel my mindset changing. I am thinking about things more thoroughly. I'm not taking these many things for granted. And I see my worldview becoming a little bit more positive, especially with examples that show the world might be a better place than we think. All in all, I see myself developing a more optimistic outlook on life. And to be honest, I'm happy to go into 2020 a little bit more dumb. So if you made it all the way to the end of this video, I want to personally thank you. About a year ago, I put out my first video. 6 months later, I put out a second video. And this past 2 weeks, I put out an additional 3. But in those first 2 videos, I got a lot of love, almost 10,000 views and 200 subscribers. And the support is honestly what kept me going. I don't think without the social pressure of these challenges and the small community that's built up around this, I would have been successful in this challenge. So it's because of people like you who are subscribing, hitting the like button, and helping boost this video up through the algorithms of YouTube that is kind of giving me the drive to keep going. So if you would, and you're appreciating this content, hopefully I'm making some more well-edited and polished production videos as I learn more and more about editing. Go ahead and leave a like and a comment down below. It'll really help out the channel. Thanks. See y'all soon.